May 16, 1943. A squadron of Lancaster bombers slices through the night sky, flying so low, their wings nearly skim the treetops. Inside, young pilots, some barely 20, grip the controls with white knuckles. Their target isn't a factory or a tank convoy. It's a dam. But not just any dam. These men carry a secret weapon unlike anything the world has seen. A bouncing bomb designed to skip across water and blast through Germany's most critical infrastructure. This wasn't just a mission. It was a gamble. One that many wouldn't survive. This is the true story of Operation Chastise, the raid that changed the war and created legends. World War II was raging. By 1943, Hitler's war machine was relentless, powered in large part by the factories of the Ruhr Valley in western Germany. The Ruhr was the industrial heart of the Nazi regime. Steel, coal, weapons, vehicles, all produced in massive quantities there. But powering those factories? The great dams of the region, the Möhne, the Eder, and the Sorp. These weren't just feats of engineering, they were lifelines. Take them out, and you strike at the heart of German production. But there was a problem. These dams were massive, reinforced with thick concrete, and heavily defended. Normal bombs wouldn't cut it. A direct hit was unlikely. And even if they did hit, they likely wouldn't breach. That's where one man came in, a quiet British engineer with a wild idea. Barnes Wallis was no soldier. He was an inventor, a visionary. And he had a plan that sounded crazy to everyone else. Inspired by how stones skip across water, Wallis theorized a bomb that could be dropped at low altitude, spin backward, skip over the surface of a reservoir, avoid torpedo nets, and detonate against the dam's wall underwater, the point of maximum impact. His colleagues thought it was nonsense. Military officials scoffed. But Wallis was persistent. And in secret trials it worked. The bomb, codenamed Upkeep, was large, cylindrical, and needed to be spun backwards at 500 RPM before release. The mechanics were complicated. The risks? Even more so. But the British military finally gave the green light. All they needed now were pilots crazy enough to carry it out. To pull this off, the RAF formed a brand new elite unit, No. 617 Squadron, under the command of Wing Commander Guy Gibson. These weren't ordinary airmen. They were hand-picked for their skill, experience, and nerve. Their training? Brutal. They practiced low-altitude flying at night, over water, using stopwatches and floodlights to judge speed and distance. They rehearsed the exact angles and drop heights needed to deliver the Upkeep bombs perfectly, just 60 feet above the water, at 240 miles per hour, with precise timing. Their aircraft, Avro Lancasters, were modified to carry the heavy, experimental bombs. Defensive guns were stripped out. Speed and accuracy were all that mattered now. The men didn't know the exact details of their mission until hours before takeoff. But when they did, they knew they were flying into history. May 16, 1943. 9:28 p.m. The first wave of bombers lifted off from RAF Scampton in Lincolnshire. 19 aircraft. 133 men. Each carrying one bouncing bomb. The journey wasn't easy. The planes flew at treetop level across the English Channel, dodging radar, flak, and searchlights. One was lost before even reaching Germany. Then came the targets. Möhne Dam, 12:28 a.m. Guy Gibson's team attacked first. The Möhne Dam was well defended, and the approach was narrow. Gibson flew in low, straight, and fast, releasing his bomb, which skipped beautifully and exploded with force. It wasn't enough. 4 more crews followed, each braving heavy fire. Finally, the dam cracked. A massive breach opened. Millions of tons of water roared out, flooding the valley below. Eder Dam, 1:39 a.m. The Eder was in a mountain valley, harder to reach, but less defended. The approach required diving between ridges and lining up in seconds. It took 3 passes. Then a hit. The dam shattered. A second catastrophic flood surged into the German countryside. Sorp Dam, the toughest target. The Sorp was earthen, not concrete, and harder to break. Only one bomb was dropped on it. It caused damage, but didn't breach. Still, the effort was heroic. By dawn, the mission was over. 8 of the 19 bombers had been shot down. 53 men were dead. 3 captured. But 2 dams were gone. And history had been made. The floods devastated German villages and industrial sites. Railways, bridges, power stations, and factories were destroyed or submerged. Over 1,600 people died, including civilians and forced laborers. The Nazis scrambled to repair the damage, diverting troops and resources from the front lines. Strategically, the impact was debated. German industry recovered relatively quickly. But the psychological effect was enormous. It proved that no target was out of reach. It boosted Allied morale. And it turned 617 Squadron into legends. The story of the Dam Busters lived on in books, documentaries, and the iconic 1955 film, The Dam Busters. Guy Gibson was awarded the Victoria Cross, the highest British military honor. Barnes Wallis was knighted and remembered as one of Britain's greatest wartime engineers. The bouncing bomb never saw widespread use again. But the mission left a mark on engineering, on aerial warfare, and on the world's understanding of what courage in the sky really looks like. They were engineers, pilots, and dreamers, ordinary men asked to do the impossible. And for one night in 1943, they did just that. Operation Chastise wasn't just a military raid. It was a symbol of innovation, bravery, and sacrifice. And while the dams have long been rebuilt, the legend of the Dam Busters lives on. Like the video and subscribe for listening more interesting stories.